Very interesting operators are called increment and decrement operators, right? So we'll see them. Again, within increment and decrement operators, there are two types of operators. One is called the prefix operator, the other is called the postfix operator. So we'll see some examples to understand them in detail, right? So look at this example. In this example, we'll look at prefix, increment and decrement operators. So here if you notice, I have a variable called x, an integer variable which is assigned a value of 8, right? So now my x is equal to 8, right? Now if I print x, look at this, what am I saying? I'm saying x equals to print the value of x and then place a tab here. So if you notice, what I get here is x equals to 8. Now if this, so first line is done. So if you look at the second line now, I'm again printing x, but I'm using this operator called plus plus. Okay, so plus plus basically means an increment. Increment basically means to increase by 1. Okay, this is called the prefix increment because look at this, because I'm placing this increment operator before the variable name. So okay, because I'm placing it before, it is called as a prefix because I'm fixing this pre the variable. Okay, so this is called the prefix increment. This is called the prefix increment. Similarly, there is also something called as a prefix decrement. I'll explain you with an example. Okay, so if I place minus x, okay, this is the decrement operator and this is the prefix decrement. Similarly, there is a postfix increment. This is called the postfix increment and this is called the postfix decrement. And this is called post here because plus plus is placed post or after x, after the variable name. Okay, I hope this is clear, right? Here again, minus, this operator minus or the decrement operator is placed post or after the variable name. Hence, these two are examples of postfix, right? These two are examples of postfix increment and decrement. Now, let's see how they work and what is the difference between both of them, right? So now remember that my x is equal to 8. Now the moment I do this, what happens is, first x will be used here. Look at this. In this expression, if you look at this whole line of code, it says printf x and x has to be used in this %d, right? So now what happens here is, because I have this prefix plus plus x, what it would do here is, so look at this, I have this prefix x. What it would do step by step is, first it will increment x by 1. The first step it will do is, it will increment x by 1. This plus plus basically means increment by 1. First do that, and then the second step is use the result. Use the result x now wherever you want to use it. Okay, so the way it will work now is, you have x equals to 8. So the moment you say plus plus x, now x will become 9. After x has become 9, then it will be used. So which means when I use it to print, when I use it as part of this to print, it will actually print 9 and not 8. This is the prefix increment. Okay, we'll see the postfix increment and we'll see how this is different. Okay, so I hope these two steps are clear. Whenever you have the prefix increment, step 1 is to increment it by 1 or to increase the value of this variable by 1. So this is what it will actually run, and then it will use this variable x. Okay, very simple. Now if you print x again, so this is printed, this printed x equals to 8, this printed x equals to 9. Now if I print x now, obviously what is stored in x? X contains 9, right? So I'm printing x. Now look at this, this is the prefix decrement operator. Okay, so how does this work? So I have minus x. Step 1, the moment it sees this, step 1 that it will do here is, it will decrement your x, or it will decrease x by 1. So what is the value of x right now? The value of x is 9. So when you decrement it, this becomes 8. Step 1. Step 2, use. So step 2 is use the new value of x, which is equal to 8. Right? So when I print it now, what happens? Because first it will decrement. Look at this. Because this is prefix, because the minus is before the variable name, it will first decrement and then use the variable. Okay, so on the other hand, we'll see postfix and then things will become much more clear to you. Okay, so you have 9, first decrement it, you get a value of 8, and now use this value of 8. So when I print now, I'll get a value of 8. Okay, so this is called the prefix increment and decrement. Similarly, there is something called as a postfix increment and decrement. Let me show you some simple code for it. Okay, here the code is slightly different. Okay, here also I have x equals to 8. When I print x, I get x equals to 8. But look at this postfix increment. The way postfix increment works is this. Because your plus plus is after the variable, first it will use the variable. First it will use the variable x. Then second step it will do is, then it will increment after using this variable. Okay, so look at this. What do I have in x? I have x equals to 8. First it will use this variable x. So here I have to use this in this printf. So first I'll use this variable x in printf, which means it will actually print x equals to 8 and not 9. But once I've used it, I'll increment it. So after I've used it, my x will become 9 because I'm incrementing my x. Now again, if I printf x, okay, I would get 9 here, because in this expression, after I have used x, I incremented it to 9. So if I print x again, I will get x equals to 9. Right? Similarly, the postfix decrement also will work like this. Now what do we have in x? We have x equals to 9. So the postfix expression, step 1 is it will use x, and then it will decrement x to by 1. Then it will decrement. So if you look at this line now, look at this line. First it will use x, because it's postfix, it will first use x. So it will use x to print the value of x. So you get x equals to 9. Then as soon as after it uses x, it decrements x by 1. So what is the value of x now? My value of x now is 8, because I've decremented it. So now when I print x now, I'll get a value of 8 and not 9. Okay, so I hope you got an idea of postfix and prefix. The key difference is in postfix, the variable will be first used and then the increment operation takes place. In prefix, first this increment happens or decrement happens, and then the variable will be used. So the order in which the variable usage and increment / decrement happen is the core difference between postfix. This is your postfix, right? And your prefix. Okay, this is the key difference between postfix increment and prefix increments. Okay, again, this is also a very important operator for many programming tasks. Again, we'll see this being used in for loops. Okay, we will actually see this being used in for loops. I think in the sample code, in the basics code we have seen, we have actually used this x++ type of syntax. Okay, so this is a very interesting operator here.